because I get these flashbacks, and I used to think that flashbacks weren't real. And then all of a sudden, I just started getting them out of nowhere. And you know, you're a young guy going through all this stuff. I was 22 on my third tour, and you know, no one tells you about this stuff. You know, even the old guys that were in. I had like my platoon sergeant, Hawk Dog. Dude had like 18 years in, had like 17, 16 deployments. 8 of them were combat tours. You know, we're not talking about, you know, how to upkeep our bodies or upkeep our mental states throughout that time period. And just the op tempo was just so damn high that it's like no one ever has the time to really sit down and think through what we're doing to ourselves, how to process some of this stuff, and then how to live with it for the rest of your life.
Yeah, our family members may not go down range with those that serve, but they're still in the fight in a different way. And sometimes I think they have it rougher when they're back home because they're just waiting to hear or waiting for their loved one to return. When you go down range, you know what your job is, you know what your duty is, you know what you're going to do pretty much each day, and you know what you're concentrating on. They don't have that luxury. They're just waiting for their loved one to come back. And so I think for them it's even more challenging at times. So.
I got to the point where I was so exhausted just going to the grocery store and being so aggressive going to the grocery store that had impacts, you know, with my family. They would see this. They wouldn't know how to react. How could they? Right? I was a firecracker ready to blow up. And so you see the effects of trauma. You see the effects of what war has done, not only just to service members, but to the families, to the overall citizenry. There's multi-tiered impacts. So it's like, there's ways to go about it. Technology is one of the ways.
Before we made Time Machine, we knew that when people talked with a counselor or in a group setting, and they worked through their relationship with themselves over time. So they started to connect with their past selves in a positive way, with forgiveness and love. When they started to look forward to the future with plans, goals, and a sense of hopefulness, that actually affected career, education, and health outcomes in a really positive way. So we knew that, and we wanted to use Time Machine, a scalable tool where people could actually guide their own healing process to help people heal trauma.
With Time Machine, it forces you to slow down. You're able to create a certain type of emotion-related information that's going to serve you better in the future. But also it's going to allow you to go ahead and say, I can live with my old self or those older versions of myself. Like you say, I'm going to love you for who you are. That's the type of information, emotion-related information, that you're not seeing on a constant basis. So when you input that into the Time Machine and you receive that, it's not like some guy yelling at you, you need to love yourself and this and that. This is coming from you. Because it's coming out of your own physiology, it's coming out of your own mind, it's coming out of this potential individual that wants to be better.
We actually showed scientifically that unconditional love, feelings of love without expectation of return or without any kind of conditions for oneself and for others, actually drove significantly positive improvements in feelings of overall well-being. In that study, it was 26 days long with 96 people. We also showed that people who had early childhood trauma who were much more likely to improve their feelings of overall well-being or their experience of overall well-being as compared to people who had less childhood trauma.
There has to be some type of ethical impetus to upgrade our biological systems. And I think that's one of the biggest arguments that I have is we're seeing all these changes, all these things are happening, we're upgrading everything, but we're not upgrading the human. We're not upgrading our fellow citizens. And that's a nerve that's exposed.
They say a lot of times technology can be that great, movement, of individuals in their life, or can be a detractor. I think this is one of those things that can greatly enhance how people, see themselves, but also move forward in a positive direction.
For the first time, we're being presented with technologies that are not weaponized, that can be used for certain types of agendas. Why not take the time to invest in that? And we got to start off somewhere. There's 52.9 million people in the United States that have some type of mental illness or some type of serious mental illness. 83% of Americans have experienced some type of traumatic event. One of the things that TOPE focuses on is creating scalable interventions, technologies that can have some type of impact on what is the mental health crisis of today.
So we're very excited to bring this tool, which is based on already scientifically vetted methods in counseling, but now we can scale it out to many people and hopefully to the community of service members who have experienced trauma and would like to work through that trauma without worries about privacy.